Welcome to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you are ready to find your inner magic, develop great habits, and a rock-steady mindset to feel confident, comfortable, and fit in your body, you are in the right place. I am Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I'll be giving you weekly doses of health, fitness, and life tips sprinkled with humor and real talk. If you're ready to be consistent without the stress of perfection, magic makers, it's time to slip into your favorite pair of PJs, grab some coffee, kick back, and listen to today's show.
All right, today's iTunes review of the week is brought to you by C. Hayes 77. I am so happy to have found this podcast. I look forward to listening to the new episode every week. I just finished the latest episode on lifting weights and loved it. I listened to it 3 times because it's so informative. I feel like I have a trainer in my ear when I listened and a friend to chat with, along with the things I love, fitness. Thank you so much, C. Hayes. That just fills my heart so full. So anyone else has a review, please absolutely share it with me. I love this and I appreciate every single review that I get. It just melts my heart that I am sharing the information that is going to be helpful for you to make sure that health and fitness is easy for you.
All right, Magic Makers, it is Kim here. And today I'm calling out 2 lies that we keep telling ourselves. And these 2 lies are really keeping us, I'm going to say what it is. These 2 lies are really keeping us stuck, right? And it's keeping us in the same damn place that we say we don't want to be come next year. And so lie number 1 is, when life calms down, I will really focus in on my health, or whatever it is that you might be saying. You know, health is my jam, so I'm going to talk about health. The second thing is you'll say, I just need 30 days. All I need is 30 days and I will get my shit together. Both in reality sound totally reasonable, even responsible. But here's the thing. Raise your hand if life has ever calmed down. If it's ever calmed down, call me because you are that rare unicorn. And 30 days of white knuckling your way through any transformation isn't going to fix months where things are busy, months when just life just comes at you like a freaking tsunami, right? So it's for us, 30 days isn't going to fix years of inconsistency, years of habits that we just do. We can't, I'm going to call it reprogram. We can't reprogram our brains that fast. As much as, we've been sold the bill of goods that is possible. So if you're sitting here waiting for the stars to align or banking on another quick fix challenge to finally be the one that's going to, stick, buckle up. This episode is going to be your loving intervention. The intervention you probably didn't think you needed. All right, so let's get into it. Here's the thing that no one tells us: that the real skill isn't about getting fit. Isn't to do it when life gets perfect, right? Your calendar is color coded and your meal prep is Instagrammable. The real skill is learning how to get it done when life is messy. It's chaotic. You're traveling to your kid's baseball game while trying to get your other kid to a dance recital, while trying to get your other kid to a piano recital. And you have deadlines at work. And dealing with aging parents. That's life, especially at the age that we are at. So our lives don't look anything like someone's highlight reel on Instagram, right? We're digging in right here because let's start with I'll start when trap. We're all guilty of it. I see so many people say, "Oh, Kim, I really want to get started with you, but this is happening and that's happening." I see it, right? I'm going to start you, Kim, let's get started when things slow down. After the holidays. When the kids come back to school. After hockey season. And my favorite is I'll start when I have more time.
Hey, Magic Makers, real quick before we dive in, can we talk about your metabolism for a second? If you feel like your body has been giving you the finger lately, you are not crazy and you definitely are not broken. You might have a metabolism that is tired AF. I created a fun quiz to help you figure out exactly what's going on with your metabolism and what the heck to do about it. It could be, are you eating too little? Overtraining? Maybe doing the right things and still feeling stuck? This quiz will call it out. It only takes a few minutes and you will get a custom result that is spooky spot on. So if you're ready to stop throwing spaghetti against the wall and finally figure out how to eat, train, and feel good again, go take the quiz like right frickin' now. Link is in the show notes. Let's figure out how your metabolism is holding you back and how to get out of diet jail. So back to the show.
And so me, I'm a little sassy. My sassy response is, remember during Rona times when we had all the time in the world, when we couldn't leave our damn houses? Did you work on your health back then? Let's be honest, probably not. Because many of you came to me after that and said, you packed on the Corona 15. And no shame. That's okay, right? We had all the time in the world back then. But as always, something came up. And here's what's really happening is that we're waiting for perfection. It's perfectionism in disguise. You tell yourself you're going to do it when you have more time so you can get it right, so you can nail it. And if you get it right, you're going to get results. And, sadly, we grew up on the bleeding edge of diet culture, and diet culture always made us feel like there was like all of these, checkpoints that we had to go through in order to lose the weight. And that all of these checkpoints had to be lined up just so. I want you to think about I don't know if you've ever used like one of those combination locks that if you don't get the number right on the line of those combination locks, then the combination isn't going to work, even just a fraction off. And that's what diet culture taught us. And I see so many, especially women over 40, is that if everything is not lined up just perfectly, you don't want to even try because you're not going to get the results that you think you're going to get. But here's the thing I know for sure. And a mentor told me this years ago, and it just always sticks in my mind when I fall into that perfectionism trap, is that the time's going to pass anyway. So you might as well pass it getting shit done. Maybe we need to shift, not maybe, we definitely need to shift our expectations. I don't know how many times women quote to me, oh, in order to get results, I'm going to be losing, X point X, I'm going to lose somewhere between 1 to 2 pounds a week, right? If you have been dieting since you were 16, that's 1 to 2 pounds a week. That ship sailed, right? We've blown through those beginner gains. So when we shift our expectations and we pull down the perfectionism, we can really start to ask ourselves, right, that what does waiting get me? Waiting just gets me looking in the mirror and being pissed off. Waiting gets me putting on those pair of pants that I'm like, damn, they still don't fit. Or God forbid, I'm going to that store and I'm going to buy the next size up. Or I'm sick of always wearing pants that are elastic, so I don't have to worry about it. Worry about what the size is. That they had those elastic pants have like the sliding size, and even if I'm maxing out that elastic band, I don't feel like I'm going to the next size up. Because the more we wait, the more you're going to train yourself to always pause life, right? And I get it. It's so like right now in life, it's really easy to pause anything. I'm watching a TV show, but I really can't pay attention right now, so I'm going to press pause. Or press pause on a podcast so I can run in the store and then just pick it up right where we left off. And that's not how our body works. I mean, if our body worked that way, that'd be absolutely fabulous. But it's like our body doesn't really like the stops and starts. Our body likes consistency, right? We like that that even kind of consistency. I don't know why I couldn't really say that word. It'll go tough, right? Because you're you're not actually waiting for the right time. You're actually waiting to feel ready. And you're never going to feel ready, especially in this age, because we're doing something that is different than what we've always got. All of us have known this is our typical diet. I'm going to go in and pretty much overhaul everything I'm doing. I'm going to take everything I'm currently doing and just throw it right out the window and start this brandy new thing and feel like I'm going to nail this brandy new thing. And if I can't nail this brandy new thing, it's a sign. And, I had a client who came to me and, she's in her 60s and she has been on I'm a former competitor. She's a former competitor. And she's been on the same kind of like quasi, not really competition diet, but dancing on the bleeding edge of a competition diet for 20 years. And when we went to go expand her nutrition, changing up the foods that she ate, nothing dramatic. It's just kind of like, you've been eating the same shit for 20 years. Well, let's just try to expand your palate. And instead of always having the same chicken, broccoli, brown rice, let's throw in something different. Buy a different vegetable, eat a different protein, eat a different starch. And, it's so ingrained in her that her grocery cart picked up the same things in the grocery store. And when we tried to start to do different things, she was like, Kim, I don't think this is working for me. It's not working because you're so ingrained in what you normally do, right? You normally grab broccoli. And instead of grabbing broccoli, I'm like, hey, grab some kale, grab some spinach, grab some Brussels sprouts, right? Though it's really hard for us to like turn the ship when we just instinctively do the same things we've always done over and over and over again, right? And so one of my biggest challenges is that like our brains like certainty, and I'll talk about it later in the podcast, our brains like certainty. And when our certainty is challenged, we freak out. That reptilian part of our brain that's still there from back in the caveman days kind of, perks up and it's like, something's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. And it's like, all it did was tell you to stop eating broccoli, right? That's the only bad thing that happened for you. And so let's talk about the second thing, and then I'll talk about how we're going to kind of shift out of these two modes. The second thing I see is that like, in 30 days, my life is going to change. And we've all been there, right? We've seen those changes, like, 30 days to this and 30 days to that. And, it promises that if you go all in for a month, everything's going to change. And I get it again, because 30 days feels doable, right? There's a finish line. It's black, it's white, and we all like black and white. But here's the thing that no one tells us, that I can white knuckle my way through for mostly any 30-day problem, right? Any 30 days I could probably gut it through. But if you're holding your breath, waiting for it to be over, that's not change, that's survival, right? It's like I've plugged my nose, I've gone underneath water, and I'm holding my breath as long as I possibly can. But here's the thing, when people come to work with me and they say, hey, Kim, I only want to work for 30 days and we'll see how it goes. And it tells me you're not ready to commit to the process. This might sound harsh, but I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And I've seen the patterns. And, baby coach Kim would have been like, yeah, girl, let's get some shit done in 30 days. But like old, wise coach Kim knows that most women who come to me, they've been brainwashed by diet culture. And it takes more than 30 days to deprogram you to start to trust there is a different way to approach your health that doesn't require you to go all in, right? Because, people want me to give them a meal plan. And I'm like, meal plans aren't what I do. Back in the day I did, but meal plans, I know, don't teach you how to eat. And, there's that whole saying like, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he'll eat for life. And if I said that wrong, Allah correct me. So I used to give you a fish, right? And there was this meal plan. And so like I talked about, the woman, for 20 years, she ate the same meal plan with like little varying changes. But it wasn't a wholesale change. And so what I know is that I want to show you how you can eat that you're going to a social event and you're not freaking the bleep out. You're going on vacation and it's not like, I'm going to pack some food in my suitcase, or I'm going to go completely nutso because I don't know what to eat. And so trust, especially when you're trying to do something new, trust takes time. And it takes meeting yourself where you are, even if it's the season that all you can do is go to bedtime, and I've shared this, I have a client, she's a teacher. She's a teacher, but she also does coaches after school sports on top of having her own children. And when we first started working together, she was like, she was just so frazzled. She's like, I have no idea where to start. And I said, let's just start with something simple. I said, it doesn't require any time of yours. I said, let's just set a bedtime. That's it. Let's just set a bedtime. And, she, sent me a text after, and she's like, I was kind of pissed. That's all you told me what to do. But she's like, I finally feel like, one, I have more energy, I have more patience, and I feel successful, right? Because I want to show you that you can be successful with one thing, and then we'll take the next thing. And I've done a podcast on this, and I'll link it in the show notes. But I read a book, and the book's called The One Thing. And it was a game changer for me, because I need to do all the things running around. And it was a game changer for me because it taught me the power of one thing. Like, one little thing is like a domino. And you need to find your domino. But again, all of us were taught, do everything. You must do everything right freaking now, all at the same time. And, miss one step, you're fucked. But that's not really true. Because the programs that you kind of flip through or even see on social media these days, they're built when things are perfect. But that's not real life, right? You might have a perfect day, you might have a perfect week, but you're not going to have a perfect month. Like, things just come at you. Like today, I'm squeezing in this podcast, looking at the clock, knowing I have 20 minutes before the guy is going to come to fix my refrigerator. And I could have easily said to myself, oof, I don't have time today. The guy's going to come in 20 minutes and I can't get this done in 20 minutes. So screw you, Derek. I'm not going to get the podcast done today. And then he's going to be like, screw you, Kim. I'm not going to get the podcast to you this week because you missed the deadline, right? So that's life, right? Sometimes we have to bob and weave, and it might not look perfect, and I'm not in the perfect conditions, and I didn't have my mic, but I worked with what I had. And that's what I really want people to really start to process, especially us ladies over 40. We need to process this. So let me tell you a story. And I think I've shared this story many times. But this story, as I kind of go back on my origin story of how I really broke myself of my all or nothing mindset. This is about 10 years ago. I went on a trip to New Zealand and Australia, and it was a 30-day trip. And to be honest, I really had no clue what every day was going to look like. We were going to different cities, different schedules. I would have no routine whatsoever. And prior to this trip, I was so freaking regimented. It was just, I was I could have been in the military, how regimented my schedule was. And so I could have done what old Kim would have done. I could have stressed out, Googling gyms, panicking about eating off plan, and spent the whole trip feeling guilty about not being perfect, right? I could have done that. But instead, I asked myself a different question. What are 3 things I could do no matter what that would keep me sane? And I picked 3 because I was like, I didn't want to have this laundry list of things. I wanted to enjoy this trip. When am I ever going to go back to Australia and New Zealand? Probably never. It's a long ass way and it's expensive. So I was like, all right, what are the 3 things? And it's not perfect, not Instagram worthy, not impressive, just keep me sane. And here's where I landed. Sleep 7 hours, walk 10,000 steps, and eat a salad with protein for lunch. That's it. It wasn't set my alarm and get up at 5 a.m. before the first tour, only stay at hotels or places near a gym, no macro tracking, right? No guilt spirals. If I had a wine with dinner or skipped a workout because, we were traveling that day, let's just throw that right out the window. So I didn't want to be that girl. So I know these things. You're like, oh, that's stupid easy. But I didn't have to think about it. And I didn't want to have to think about it. I didn't have to do, some Jenga to get it done. And I picked things that didn't leave me feeling like I would fail if things went sideways. But here's the thing, right? I knew I could walk everywhere, because we weren't getting a car. I was going to Australia, right? I wasn't going to the Serengeti. So I knew that I would be able to find a salad and sleep, right? I was going to be sleeping in a bed every night. And these were my non-negotiables because, for me, jet lag kicks my ass because I ain't 22 no more. And I've always known that when I'm so off of my time zone, I am a hot mess. And this trip taught me that it's something huge, right? I didn't need to do all the things. I just needed to nail a few non-negotiables that worked for my actual life, not my fantasy life, right? That I needed to have a chef and a nanny and all unlimited time. And that's when I stopped trying to be that girl, right? Who had it all together. I started being that girl, doing things that actually mattered, doing the boring actual basics. And so those are the two things I want us to walk away with, right? And I've been saying this for the last 10 years, or actually the last 5 years, I've kind of finally figured out that's how I stopped doing the all or nothing. So why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Why do we wait for the perfect time? We go for the unsustainable plans? Because as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, our brains are wired for certainty. It wants us to know what's going on, what's going to happen and know the ending, right? I don't know about you, but whenever I read a book, and that's probably why I don't read a lot of Kindles, I like to skip to the back and be like, is this going to be worth it? Is this going to be worth it to reading? And so that's what I do. And that's what our brain wants. Our brain wants to skip to the good part. Our brain wants to be like, if I go down this road, is it going to lead me to where I want to go? And, for years, we've been programmed by diet culture that telling us do all the things or you're going to get nothing. Go big or go home. 14 days to a tighter butt. 21 days eating out of those little fucking cups and you're going to lose 30 pounds, right? We've been sold this transformation, that our transformation has to be dramatic or it doesn't count. And what I tell women is that in 30 days, if you don't lose 30 pounds, but you sleep better, you have better energy, you're no longer having cravings, is that not a win? It is a win. Just because the scale doesn't move doesn't mean that other things in your life haven't become better. And we're just taking smaller steps to get you where you want to go. Especially if you're in your 40s and beyond, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We've burnt all those circuits. I was listening to a podcast and we're talking about newbie gains. And so many of us remember those newbie gains. We remember that we made little small changes and we lost 2 pounds in a week. And we're like, yeah. Or we started lifting weights for the first time and we were able to increase the weights a little bit faster. We were able to see muscle a little bit faster. But those newbie gains, we've blown well past that, right? We've done too many challenges, survived too many cleanses, white knuckled our way through more transformations than any of us care to count. And those traumatic gains, bye. They are not happening anymore. Our bodies need something different, something now. They need consistency, not intensity. They need sustainability, not superhuman. So maybe the focus shouldn't be on how fast we make the transformation, but how sustainable and consistent it can actually be. Because let me trust you, consistency keeps you sane. Sustainability equals sanity. And so I get it. When you're going to start something new, there's a lot of uncertainty. It feels risky. Your brain tries to convince you the longer you wait, the more you plan, the more you get it all set up, that you'll be able to get it done. Or if you go harder for a short burst, you'll get back to feeling comfortable quicker. But here's the shift I want us to start to think about. What if messy action beat perfect planning every single time? What if the goal isn't to overhaul your life in 30 days, but to find your 1 to 3 non-negotiables that you can do even when there's chaos? Because these boring basics, these are the ones, they don't feel sexy. They're not going to be on Instagram, but these are the ones that actually move the needle. And, here's where you come in. It's like, one, we'll stop waiting for life to slow down, because it won't. It's never going to slow down. And if it does, holla. I want to know when that time period is for you. And I always tell you, and I'm going to I'll hook these show in the show notes. I talk about seasonality, right? We have seasons where we do have more time, not infinite time, but we have seasons that we have more time that, okay, like, I'm not traveling. I'm going to talk about me specifically. It's like, in the summertime, I don't travel as much. So like, I'm like, hey, I have more time to like, focus on my food, focus on the lifts at the gym, where in the wintertime, I travel a little bit more. So I'm like, I'm going to have to kind of scale it back. I have teachers who in the summertime, they have more time. So they're like, yeah, I can be more, focused on the workouts. I can be more focused on my training versus what, I'm in the complete opposite time, or if you have kids in busy sports. Like, so we all have seasons where we have a little bit more time, and we all have seasons where our time is a little bit more constricted, and we just have to, bob and weave with the ebbs and flows. And so as you're sitting here thinking about when I'm going to wait for life to slow down, or waiting for that perfect 30-day window that's going to fix everything, because it's not, I want you to think about, what are your 1 to 3 non-negotiables, right? Things that don't require a ton of energy, things that like can just be a simple thing. And it could be easily one, like do things even when it's a dumpster fire. Last October, I had been doing these 3 non-negotiables for a really long time. And then I was like, Kim, it's time to like add, these are just like what you do now. They're just in my head. I don't even want to think about them anymore. And one was like, I added 10,000. I started with 15 minutes of walking, and it was just, I added one thing, 15 minutes of walking. And that was in October. July, I bumped it up to see if I can solidly hit 10,000 steps. I live in New England, so it's warmer outside. So being outside for more than 15 minutes felt good. Bumped it up to 10,000 steps. Then I bumped it up to 11,000 steps in August. I didn't hit it all the time. I got it about 70% of the time. And you know what? That was okay, right? It was a C. It was a C effort, and that was okay. So I want you to think about, how can you do it? Can it be, adding an extra cup of water, moving your body for 20 minutes, setting a bedtime, right? Whatever it takes to make you feel like it's so easy that you can't fail. And now here's where most people get it wrong, right? They think they need to switch things up every single week to keep it interesting. My coach said this to me about my business, and she said, my business should not excite me. My business should be boring. My business should she goes, Kim, I want you to think about your business as you think about your nutrition, right? In your nutrition, it's just what you do. There's no excitement. It's just what you do. So I want you to think about the same thing, right? Fitness has taught us that we always had to like change things up and do everything different. I want you to just to be your boring basics, because if I change up too much things, I won't know what worked, right? If I keep switching things up week to week to week, I won't know like what I'm able to stick with, right? And we want to stick with it until it becomes just what you do, right? And then we can move on to something else. And in the beginning, I want you to give yourself some grace, right? You are not going to nail it. You may stumble. What you choose might be a little bit too challenging for the season of life that you're in, and that's okay. And we can pick something a little bit easier. And if you need help doing that, holla at your girl. I'm here to help. The goal here is never going to be about perfection, right? We're just marching towards steady progress that we can create your Fit Girl magic, right? So in the Fit Girl magic formula is, I create habits that lead to a routine, that lead to consistency, that ultimately lead to my results. That is the Fit Girl magic formula. And that's what we're working on. We're working on habits. A new client just started working with me, and she's like, I really need to drink more water. And for me, the easiest way I started to drink more water is that I put this water bottle in my bathroom. And so first thing when I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth and I start drinking water while I get dressed. And, do I finish the whole thing before I make it downstairs after I get dressed? No, but I at least get half of it done. So it's like, it's something, right? There's just a little bit, just got a little bit of water on board. And so it's these little steps. We're just building trust with ourselves, right? We're building that self-trust that I can do something different, even if it's small, because progress, again, isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing things consistently, even when it's messy, even when you're telling yourself you don't have time to get it done. All right. So here is your action item for this week, right? Pick your 1 to 3 non-negotiables, write them down. Don't overthink them. Put them on Post-it notes so you can see them. Put them on your bathroom mirror. And I don't want you to pick what sounds good or you pick what you saw on Instagram. Like, pick something for you. And like, again, it could be something as simple as get your ass to bed on time. It could be something as simple as drink, one of these a day, right? And then do them, even if it doesn't go right that day. And you can bob and weave. You're like, what was it that didn't make it go right that day? Because you don't need a perfect plan. Or you don't need 30 days to go all in. You just need to do like 1 to 3 boring things that you can stack on day by day by day until they become who you are. And that's it. And that's the whole game. And when you figured out what your 3 are, and you nail them, you realize like, holy crap, I can actually do this. Like, wow. And I want to hear about it, right? I want to hear about like, the week that you're able to like, or the day that you're able to string it together. And if you're like, hit me up in my Facebook group, the Fit Girl Magic Facebook group, or on Instagram at Kim Jefferson Coach, and use the hashtag Fit Girl Magic so I can cheer you on, right? Because I love celebrating messy progress. So stop waiting for perfect. Stop chasing the next 30-day fix. Choose your 1 to 3 things and start doing them today. Not Monday, not next month, not next year. Today. All right. Thanks for hanging with me and enjoy the rest of your day. And I will talk to you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you've made it this far, yay. I'm thinking you enjoyed the show. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach. In order for me to keep sharing this message, do me a favor and leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. New episodes are available every Wednesday. The Fit Girl Magic podcast is intended to provide you with tips, tools, and strategies that will help you make better decisions about your health. I really appreciate your feedback and your support. Thank you so much.